Dean Quiambao is partner and chief relationship builder with Armanino. They are one of the nation's largest CPA and accounting firms. Welcome back to the show, Dean.
George, I'm happy to be back. Second time here. Let's do this, baby.
Let's go. Refresh our memory, Dean. Tell us a little bit more about your work, a little bit about your personal life, and why you do what you do.
Oh, I love it. Okay. Let's see. First off, I'm a dad, married to my wife. I got one 13-year-old daughter, PQ, got two Bernie Doodles. Been with my wife for a long time, I think 28 years. I love all of that stability in my life. At work, like you said, I'm a partner at Armanino. I also lead our Northern California marketplace. I'm our technology industry leader, and I sit on our board of partners. Why do I do it all? Because I love it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there's a lot of things you could go do. You gotta love it. Just because I say I love it doesn't mean it's hard. It's hard, George. Things are hard. That's just the way it goes. But I love what I do, and I love my team.
Excellent. Things are hard. I love doing hard things as well. 28 years of marriage. Way to go.
28 years of marriage. Oh my, this is gonna blow your mind. 23 years at Armanino.
Wow.
I don't know
You
what
know,
that says. Maybe I like the stability more than I think. I don't know where I don't know.
it's an interesting thing. And it looks like you're 35 years old. So you got married pretty young, buddy. All right. So I don't know how long it's been since we chatted, but what have you been up to? What's new?
Yeah, what's new? I think since the last time we talked, if you look at the date of that podcast to now, if you think about what's just taken over, everybody's talking about AI, George. AI is everywhere. I'm here in the San Francisco Bay Area. I was out at an event last night and we were in this, it was called Future of Finance, and we're there in a brewery garden. Okay. And this young guy comes up to me and he's like, what do you guys got going on? There's like, you got like 50 people over here. What is this? And I'm like, oh, this is the future of finance. These are people who, tech execs who want to be CFOs one day. And he's like, oh, really? I go, what do you mean? He's like, well, I'm part of the largest AI collective in the Bay Area. And the Bay Area is the home of AI. We got 10,000 people. And so we literally start talking, and he's like, oh, okay, great. And I don't want to give away his company idea, but he shows it to me on the spot. This kid is a kid. And it was pretty mind blowing what he was doing as a demo on his phone right then and there. AI is everywhere, and it is taken off, and it is probably the newest thing. NVIDIA, as of yesterday, the most valuable company in the world, right? They're selling all the picks and shovels to make the AI happen. So yeah, AI is the number one thing on top of everybody's minds, or it should be anyway, right now.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's probably going to stick around for longer than NFTs are, Dean, but I guess we're
I
just gonna have to wait and see on that one.
think
So
so. I think so. I think we might have some leg room here.
shots fired at NFTs. All right. Well, you've always been an active guy as well. We're having this conversation talking about
Yeah.
what time we like to get up in the morning and how we like to have routines. You have anything new on you doing anything hard?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, George. I want to talk about it. I did 75 hard. Actually, let's be real here. I
Yeah.
failed at 75 hard, but it was one of the best experiences I ever had, and the results were crazy at failing 75 hard. So let's talk about that too, because I think that 75 hard experience, I extrapolated that to so many other things in my life. And now I just try to do the same things and replicate at work, especially. And it was killer.
So you mentioned that you had gone through that program, and I don't know, it's Andy Frisella, who is CEO, very public entrepreneur, podcaster. He developed it. He calls it a mental toughness program more so than anything else.
Right.
And I don't know you that well, Dean, but I know you to be a very, very, very mentally tough, physically fit, driven, disciplined, high achieving person. So for you to say that it was one of the hardest things you've ever done is pretty surprising to me.
you know, let me tell you, did I want to do 75 hard? George, hell no. My partners came up to me and they're like, Dean, we want to do 75 hard. And I was like, well, that's great. You should go do it. I don't need it.
That's
I'm
right.
good, right? I live this, right? This is what I do. And they're like, no, come on, we can do it together. And I was like, I was thinking about my friends, my partners, and I was like, all right, fine. If you're in, I'm in, right? So, what is 75 hard? It's drink a gallon of water every day, which is challenging. That's a lot of water. You're going to go to the restroom a lot, right? Read 10 minutes a day. Two workouts, 45 minutes each, one outside. Follow a nutrition plan, no alcohol, right? That was kind of like the parameters. And when you're looking at that, you go into it, and we gave ourselves like 2 or 3 months to think about this and prepare. And then sure enough, here we go. January 1, just like everybody else. And I'm not a challenge guy. I don't like challenges, right?
Right.
To me, challenges are right? Like you ride the wave, I'm good, whatever. So here we go. We kind of prep for it. And let me tell you what it did. And this is key, right? I also heard this in a George Slootman podcast. He's a former CEO of Snowflake and a lot of other technology companies. What he always says is narrow the focus. And you think about those things that I just mentioned, and you're like, how am I going to get that all done? But the reality is, you actually start to think of, I'm just going to focus on this. And it becomes your focus. So, gallon of water, that turned easy. I was drinking 40 ounces of water before 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. I had 40 ounces done. Easy, right? We're well on our way.
Yeah.
That one, easy. All right. Just a little check off the box. Uh doing two workouts a day. Okay, that's really hard. One outside, that's really hard. Following my nutrition plan that I wanted to do, and it lined up with my CrossFit workouts and my preparation was I gave up processed flour, processed sugar, and then obviously no alcohol. So that's what I did. The reading, that's the challenge, right? Try to get your 10 pages in every day. All right, here's the punchline, George. I failed. I failed. Did I hit every single one of those metrics every single day? No, I failed at 75 hard. But guess what? I didn't hit every single thing every single day, but I hit 90% of the things every single day. And any day that I missed anything, did I say, oh, well, I failed. It's over. Chalk it up, throw it away, done. Back to doing whatever I want. No, I just went back to the next day and said, all right, how many of these things can I hit? And guess what? George, you said I was a mentally tough guy. I take that as a huge compliment. I was super mentally tough. I was so locked in, right? I was locked in at work. I was locked in at life. I was locked in at the gym. It got scary. I loved it. I was like, dude, I love this. Even my wife was like, I don't know how you're doing this. But it was because I just focused on these things. Okay, fast forward. Dean said he loved 75 hard, blah, blah, blah. What did it all mean at the end of the day? And it wasn't my goal, but the ending result was mentally tough, felt great, clarity, and even the most part, I lost 2.5% of body fat.
Wow.
Right? Got to, at my age, I'm 46 years old, I got to 10.5% body fat. And
It's
I was
awesome.
like, holy cow. But so many things got unlocked because we did this hard thing, George. And I think that like people got to think about that is like, oh my gosh, if you could do this hard thing and find a little community, and we should talk about the little secrets that I found, little enlightenings about doing this 75 hard. Like it was awesome.
How many people did you do it with? You mentioned some of your business partners.
There you go. We had a team of about, I think, 6 or 7 people.
And how was that?
It was fantastic, right? I think anybody who's going to do something like this, like find your people. So we had a little chat and we would just say, all right, as we got started, the first like every day, everybody was like, I'm in, I got this done, I got this done. And we would, key point, Celebrate every small win. Okay, congratulations. And then if there was a day, like say I had to travel, I had to go to New York or something like that. Well, how the heck are you supposed to get in two workouts and you travel to New York? Well, I said, all right, well, my first workout is I got to walk all around the airport and I got to do this. And that was 45 minutes of walking. So that was good. And then everybody was like, okay, Dean, don't worry about it. When you land tomorrow, get your workouts in. And so we were very supportive. We celebrated the small win. We were just a little checking the box. And then it just became this thing of like, hey man, I don't want to let anybody else down. Right. So there was just these little things that we did. And all of a sudden you can just see the group getting tighter. And then, some of my friends were getting amazing results. My partner, Jeff, he lost 35 pounds. He's still losing weight. Right. And so it's just, how do you just keep it going? Keep a little community, keep it tight, support each other, positive culture, no shaming, no anything like that. Work together. That worked really good.
The first time you missed something, did you just crush yourself?
I did. I did. I was like, oh, guys, I'm not gonna make it today. I'm not gonna make it. Like it's like I'm running out of time. I'm on a plane. You know what I mean? You're just looking at. I mean, there were times at night. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm reading a book. I got my phone on my flashlight here. It's like the clock 10:30 at night, and that's late for me. And I'm like trying to get in my 10 minutes of reading. And so yeah, but that's what I mean. And finally, when I said this, I said, "Hey guys, not gonna happen. I'm gonna miss this." And my team was supportive. Do the next right thing. Because you know what? Nobody hits 100% every single time. Nobody, George, you know that.
For
But if
sure.
you could hit 80% all the time, guess what? You're going to crush it. And so, why else did I fail 75 hard, George? Guess what? I only did 5 workouts a week. I only worked out 5 days a week. The guys at my gym, my trainers and everybody, they're like, no, you're not, Dean. You're not going to do 7 workouts a week. You're too old for that. And our workouts are too hard. So maybe you can go walk. You can go do things like that. You can do, non-intense workouts. So I only did 5 workouts a week, but I stayed disciplined in so many other things that the results were insane. And that's really the takeaway from me is the discipline and the accountability and all of that, George. It just unlocked so many things for me. And then I carried that on to work. And I said, hey, okay, well, can I take this day to day, week to week focus? Like, hey, like I heard you, I introduced myself. I'm a technology industry leader. I don't know if you're paying attention, but besides AI and the biggest tech companies in the world, like the technology industry is still in some pain, right? There's not many IPOs, there's not many M&As out there. And so it's hard. And so what can you do? I can only control what I can control. So you narrow the focus and you say from a week to week, day to day basics, am I getting the things done that I need to get done? Otherwise, there's lots of things you can worry about and feel like you have no control.
Yeah, it is I'm guilty of doing all those things you just described,
Yeah.
of trying to boil the ocean or whatever the term might be, trying to do it all, but I can't do that. I can't do 75 hard in one day. I can just do one thing after another and focus on the things that I do have control over. And that it refined your focus if or narrowed your focus or focused your focused. I think that's that's not surprising. But again, it is because I do consider you to be such an already focused and hardworking person. So that you got so much out of this is pretty wild.
No, absolutely. I loved it. I'd do it again. I'd do it again in a second, right? Someone tells me, hey, I want to go do this. You need a partner. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And now I try to gamify other things in the same exact way. I've always been that Atomic Habits big fan of that. Um, but I love this, and how about this, right? When business is hard and maybe you don't have the results you want, something like this accountability, this discipline, it became very because then you could tell everybody, well, here's all the things that I'm doing. Here's all the things that I'm doing, and like if you have anything to add, please tell me. because I'm emptying the tank every single day. And here's the things that I'm focused on. And if anybody has anything to ask, add, or thinks of recommendations or anything like that, we're open to it, right? Versus if you're not emptying the tank every day, and that's a different conversation. But this really allowed me to just, like I said, stay narrow, stay tight, and execute. And in times like this, right? If people think that business is easy right now and the phone is ringing off the hook, it's not. So in times like this, you need to know that, hey, we're executing.
So Andy Frisella also has what he talks about as the power list, and maybe that's part of the 75 Hard book and program. That I'm not sure of, but his power list is it's 5 things that he knows he has to do every day, and it's separate from the items on 75 Hard. But it strikes me that it's just his whole thing is how do we help people to better narrow their focus and execute on those things, and you one day builds on the other.
Right, George. And let's be real here. We started this conversation talking about what? AI. You know who are the best people right now when it comes to AI? The laziest people, right? It's insane because if you showed me, hey, Dean, we have this, and this, and it was a mountain of work to do, I'd be like, okay, let's break it down into tasks. Everybody grab your pick, everybody grab your shovel, let's get to work, right? Because that's my style. But everybody's like, no, Dean, what you got to do is you got to be lazy and you actually have to pick up the AI and you got to start talking to it and you got to think about it and you got to use it. And the more that you use it and you challenge it to do things, guess what? If you integrate it into your workflow, it's going to shorten the distance, it's going to shorten the gap. And then you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get results that I didn't anticipate. That is what's happening now. So that's kind of how I'm tying all this together right now. Like I use AI every single day and I try to evolve, I try to include it everywhere. My 13-year-old daughter, George, I said, hey, I need you to download a couple apps. They're AI apps. I need you to download them to your phone. I'm using them. I need you to start using them every day. And she looked at me, George, and she went like this. And I go, why? Why, PQ? What's up with that? She goes, Dad, we're not allowed to use that at school.
Hmm.
And I go, and that's the exact wrong mindset of a lot of folks today. Now, is AI perfect? George, no, it's not perfect. We know that. But can it, but the exercise of using it and learning faster and like all of that, that is what you need to be thinking about today. Like if you think, okay, I'm just going to wait for my aha moment and 2 years from now it'll be perfect, and too late. You're going to be so far behind.
What a what a fascinatingly human thing that we will do with it too, because say, you know what? I don't need to do that. That's just not for me. It's not for my industry. There's 1,000 reasons to just push that off my desk and keep doing what I'm doing versus what you're talking about. So what is that entry point? Because it is intimidating, it's new, it's I don't get it. So how do I start?
Uh, Obviously, just like anything else, you start small. But I think you just be comfortable with making errors. Because people talk about the prompts that you need for AI, right? Well, don't overthink it. Just ask it a question. Just tell it something and start there and see what happens. And then you're going to get an answer. You're going to be like, well, that's not exactly what I was looking for. So you're going to guess what you're going to do naturally. You're going to refine your question because you're going to pretend like, George, if you and I were having a conversation and you gave me an answer and it wasn't exactly what I was asking, I'd go, huh, okay, let me think how I can ask that question in a better way. And so, me personally, like to use it for a lot of like just sometimes as a thought partner. I'll like to talk to people as thought partners, but sometimes to prepare myself for that conversation, I'll just ask a couple questions on a specific topic. And you're like, oh, okay, great. That does make sense. I've read that in a book before. I heard that in a management class. I saw that in a different place. And it just does things faster. We all know there's so much information in our heads today. It kind of, again, narrows things. You can validate it on your own and then you can take it on. But what you got to do is you got to use it.
Pick up the hammer and start swinging it.
At the end of the day. Come on, George. We know that.
1,000%. Yeah. You said something, I'm not sure if it was actually before we hit recording or afterwards. You said that everything you want is on the other side. And I think that that's so true of getting your butt out of bed in the morning, even if you don't feel like it. It's entering that first prompt into the AI, even if you don't feel like it or if you're unsure. So maybe we can close with some thoughts on that.
Exactly right. How about this? You know, my daughter trying to pass on everything I have to her, right? She's 13 years old, going to high school next year. I'm so proud of her. I said, Presley, good job in your CrossFit class today. I'm so proud of you. Dad, I don't know why you tell me you're proud of me when you make me do it. And I just started laughing and I said, you know what? The ability to do the things that you don't want to do, but you know are necessary is a superpower because most people don't do it. And if you want to separate yourself and find a little bit of wiggle room and find anything else that you want out of your life, go ahead and start doing all the things you don't want to do.
Amen. That's amazing. Well, Dean, thanks so much for coming back on. Where can people learn more about you? How can they engage with you?
Hit me up on LinkedIn, Dean Quiambao from Armanino, or that on Instagram, at Dean_CPA. Let's connect. I love chatting. You can see my link tree there and book a meeting with me.
Love it. If you enjoyed as much as I did, show Dean your appreciation. Share today's show with a friend who also appreciates good ideas. Find him on LinkedIn and Instagram, and I'll link all the places on the interwebs that we can run into Dean. But certainly take his advice and start tapping into that superpower, which is our ability to do hard things that we don't necessarily want to do, but we execute anyway. Thanks again, Dean.
Been great.
Until next time, remember, do your part by doing your best.